Houston Texans lost to the Carolina Panthers. And to me, I don't know. Yes, Carolina was 0-6. We understand that. But to me, did they look like the 2011 Indianapolis Colts? Did they look like the 2017 Cleveland Browns? Did they look like a winless, one-win team? I don't think so. I think Bryce Young played a very good game. I think now we don't want to hype up Carolina too much because, in my personal opinion, these are two rosters that aren't quite in depth. But I think it was about time Carolina got a win. Adam Thielen is a respected receiver. He's doing good over there. They got DJ Chark. He's doing good over there. And Bryce Young is finally coming out of his shell a little bit. To me, he did not look like an NFL quarterback these first couple games. He could barely get over 100 yards passing. Now he's moving the ball around a little bit. And I have more thoughts on this. It's going to be interesting to see, but for sure, a well-deserved win for Carolina. Houston, it sucks. But it's what we know, right? They're just not a good team. They have some talent, of course, with CJ Stroud, but the depth is for sure not there on either sides, but also especially the Texans, we learned. But Jake, initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it was obviously an interesting win by the Carolina Panthers. As you mentioned, I think you touched on it great. Bryce Young, I don't, in my opinion, he didn't look like an NFL quarterback these first two games, and really he's been turning it on these last couple of games. Carolina's not an 0-6 team. They should have about two or three wins by now. And as for the Texans, she just started obviously very talented. They just could not get it done against Carolina on Sunday. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, they didn't get too involved in the offense, and I think that's why the Texans, eventually ended up losing that game. Jordan, what are your initial thoughts, man?
All right, so the initial talking point is Bryce Young, how he didn't exactly look like an NFL quarterback these first few weeks and then has turned it on lately. He threw for 235 yards in this game, which on the surface isn't great, but for a rookie quarterback who had been struggling is pretty good, right? For Houston, I think, CJ Stroud threw for 140 yards. He had been to me, the best rookie quarterback so far. But this just wasn't his game for whatever reason. Evan?
So on the last drive in particular, where Bryce Young marched them down, they got the game-winning field goal. I think it was like a chip shot. It was like 26
Mhm.
yards or something like that. That's to me really where coaching mattered. Carolina was better coached. They were better prepared. D'Amico Ryans for Texans. He's good, but the Texans, again, they're lacking. CJ Stroud is a good quarterback, but you've seen he's come down to earth a little bit. He was throwing for 300 yards a game. Now he's not quite scratching that. The Texans also had a lot of goal line plays. Panthers did too, to their credit, but where they could have punched it in, they turned it over on downs. So it was low scoring because not necessarily because of the defenses. I mean, there were some good defensive plays, but mainly because of sloppy play between. I just got to repeat it. It's just two not particularly great teams, but also optimistic teams because I do think CJ Stroud is good, and we're still learning about Bryce Young, I think. But the fact that he's, with his size and all that, that was always my biggest downgrade. Like, he looks tiny out there to be an NFL quarterback, right? But Kyler Murray did it solid for a couple of years. So you never know. So they're really just building on that and I guess seeing where they find themselves in year one, because this is not going to be a playoff year.